Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan, and this bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at number 35 John Hammond Street in Accra. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927, plus live on all the numerous affiliates in the country and on 3news.com. We have a lot of stories coming to you this afternoon, including the United States government saying that China is refusing to provide sufficient debt relief to distressed countries, including Ghana, hampering its program with the International Monetary Fund. We'll bring you details in the bulletin. Also coming up, raging debate on Ghana's lithium mining contract with Atlantic Lithium continues to split heads, with experts proffering divergent opinions about its proprietary amid calls for its review. Also in the bulletin this afternoon, New Patriotic Party aspirants to cough up at least 78,000 Ghana cedis in their quest to be members of parliament on the ticket of the party. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's get into the details of the stories. And a reminder that we're live also on all our numerous affiliates across the country and on 3news.com. Let's now get into the details of the stories this afternoon. The cost of contesting elections in Ghana, that is still a major concern as persons seeking to contest primaries in constituencies with sitting MPs of the governing New Patriotic Party. They must pay at least 78,000 Ghana cedis. The party has, in a statement, announced guidelines ahead of its January 27 parliamentary primaries. Let me run you through a breakdown of the cost as instituted by the NPP, and you'll see that the price of nomination forms is 3,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the aspirant will have to pay a non-refundable filing fee of 35,000 Ghana cedis before a non-refundable development fee of 40,000 Ghana cedis. If you put these fees together, these aspirants will have to cough up about 78,000 Ghana cedis. Mind you, this is without the cost of campaign of these parliamentary aspirants in the party. And this is raising a lot of questions about political party financing and the cost of running elections and or winning elections in the country. We'll be getting some reactions on the back of that. We'll be speaking with a political analyst on the back of this. But let's speak with a member of a fellow of the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Osai Kwapon, who is joining us at the moment about this worrying development. Dr. Kwapon, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I'm sure you've seen this development from the NPP. Must this be a source or a cause of worry?
I mean, in a way, yes. These filing fees are quite exorbitant. I mean, over time, you can see that they've been going up. But in defense of the political parties too, they have to organize these elections. They need a number of logistics across these constituencies with incumbent MPs to be able to conduct these elections. And those logistics cost money. We also don't have we don't have a system where people pay dues to the party, in amounts where that can financially sustain the party, right? Which means that
Right.
So it's a sort of a catch-22. On the one hand, you don't want the cost of filing a nomination to become an entry barrier for an aspiring member of parliament. But at the same time, you also have to understand that the political party needs to be able to finance the administrative expenses that comes with organizing these internal elections. And so you can at least understand why sometimes they peg these amounts at the level that they do.
Right, Doc, in the face of this, how do we draw the line, or how do we deal with this and find the line between the party raising funds and not limiting individuals who may have intentions of contesting the parliamentary seat of their constituencies on the ticket of the parties? Talk to us about that.
You really want to find ways to encourage party members not only to register to be card-carrying members, but to also regularly pay their dues. I mean, if you think of the number of votes that these parties get in elections, right? Even if 80% of them are your committed party members, I'm sure you can peg the party dues at a reasonable amount on either a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis, that if you also religiously encourage them to pay, that you can build a good enough, quote unquote, financial chest that allows you to be able to finance some of these operations. There are other activities that political parties can engage in, regular fundraisers, that also allows them to, improve their financial standing. I think those, if you are able to find creative ways of doing that, you can get the political party into a situation where it doesn't have to solely rely on these high nomination filing fees to be able to finance these activities like organizing the primary, which, to be honest, are very costly.
Right. Dr. Kapon, I'd like for you to hold on for me. Let's speak to a political scientist from the University of Cape Coast, a political analyst, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, also for his perspectives on that, who is also joining us on the other line. Dr. Okyere, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good afternoon to you. You've come across this from the New Patriotic Party. The aspirants will have to cough up over 78,000 Ghana cedis. My first question to you will be, how do we draw a fine line between the parties needing to raise money to contest the elections or to run the party in the constituencies for elections, and these fees not being a stumbling block to individuals who may have the capacity and skill to lead the constituencies?
Yeah, Crosby, certainly. I think that it is both ways. It cuts both ways. Certainly, it is a stumbling block. First of all, let me say good afternoon to your listeners. It is, first of all, a stumbling block for, mild-mannered, let me put it this way, those who are not really, really well endowed, but they have the fine brains to be able to, cultivate that and also assist the party, in its decision to either contest the elections and win, so to speak. But if you peg it at where they have pegged it, then certainly our democracy is for sale. And virtually it is only those who have. And we are still widening the gap between the haves and the have-not. And you see, most often than not, you will have people who get to parliament, they have no ideas, they have no better brain, they don't know what it takes to do analysis, they don't know how to peruse, documents, as it were, that leads to the contraction of a loan and all those things. All these things ought to be considered. And so we expect the party, in as much as they need money to run the affairs of the party, it should not be in a position where it's like you're fleecing the very people. They turn around, win elections, go into the state coffers, right? Find means of recuperating and restoring that which they have lost. Today, we are in that crisis. How did we get there? If, after all loans that have been contracted were used to undertake a certain project, that in itself refinances itself, and it is quite sustainable.
Right.
There is no way we should be in a domestic debt exchange program.
Dr.
It is
Trey,
because it is a cyclical thing. Yeah, Crosby.
talk to me about how we can solve this if there is an end in sight at all. From Dr. Sekwapon proposing ways that this can be reduced, for instance, increasing the dues contribution of members of the party in the constituencies. Are there other practical ways that these parties can adopt so that they don't disenfranchise capable hands to lead the party in the constituencies?
Well, dues in itself, in our part of the world, is very difficult for people to pay. It is only going to be paid by those who foresee that they are going to benefit from the party when the party gets into office. But if you are just a bench, somebody who is sitting on the bench and feels that he affiliates or associates himself with the party, and therefore he goes out and argues for the party, if you expect somebody, some categories of people like that to pay dues, they will not be able to do so. Two, you see, asking these people also to raise huge sums of money in itself will be a future, a future source of corruption, because they are definitely going to reap that money back. But I think that our parties must be into some kind of business, not businesses that will create conflict of interest, but like farming.
Right.
They ought to be in some kind of farming and do some kind of export, because those that you are asking them to pay dues are not working. What is the state of unemployment in this country? What's the state of employment in this country? Very, very low. And the purchasing power is very, very low. Unless you create, an electronic platform where we will be able to raise even 1 city, 2 cities to the level where we'll be able to raise enough money so that the party can support the finances that the individual aspirant will bring.
Dr. Trey, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Dr. Jonathan Asante-Ocho is a political analyst at the University of Cape Coast, speaking with us there. Away from that, the United States is warning of China's chokehold on poor countries, including Ghana, many of which are heavily indebted to the Asian country. According to a 2023 report presented to Congress, China's coercive financial aid and loans targeted at poor and developing countries as part of a larger plot to gain control of global politics. The report says that over the past 10 years, China has used a mixture of persuasive and coercive tactics, achieving mixed successes depending on several characteristics. The U.S. also warns of manipulative economic relief and China's unwillingness to offer debt relief to distressed borrowers like those from African countries. Now, right now, Ghana's total Chinese loans stand over $31 billion. That's since 2004, making the country one of 51 reeling under the effect of owing. The Chinese government, as the second tranche of the IMF bailout, remains in limbo. According to the report, despite repeated requests by the U.S., World Bank and the International Monetary Fund and other democratic and development partners, China refuses to offer broad and substantial debt relief or restructuring to developing countries in this regard. Let me talk to you and walk you through the list as released by the U.S. on the heavily indebted poor countries. As I mentioned, Ghana is first on the list with $31.1 billion, followed by Guinea with $21.9 billion. Third is Ethiopia with $14.8 billion. Then Tanzania follows with $12.6 billion. The Democratic Republic of Congo, $12.1 billion. The Republic of Congo itself, $11.4 billion. Mozambique is also on the list with $7.9 billion. Then Sudan, $6.9 billion. Zambia with $4.6 billion. Chad with $3.2 billion. Senegal with $3.1 billion, Niger with $2.7 billion. The last two, Mali with $2.6 billion and Cameroon with $1.8 billion. Now, this is the IMF and World Bank launching the Heavily Indebted Poor Countries Initiative in 1996 to provide debt relief to eligible countries. And this is the position of Ghana in regard to China's debt and chokehold in the country. You're still listening to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927 plus on 3news.com. Let's bring you some more stories in relation to a conversation that has engulfed the nation over the past couple of weeks. The conversation about Ghana's lithium discovery and the subsequent lease agreement with Barari DV Limited appears far from ending. Now, criticisms of the deal have been mounting amid government insistence it has cooked the best ever mining agreement in the history of the country. The latest is the position of the Christian Council and a member of the Council of State who are demanding parliamentary scrutiny of the deal.
There's nothing to show that we get all these rich resources coming from these areas. Look at their roads. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the people who live there. And it's a shame. Sometimes you drive through these areas and you ask yourself, just as a friend said, look at Obuasi. Look at the town. Go to Prestia and look at the town. And it's as if nothing is there. But all you find our people is the smile on their faces. Just the smile. There is nothing to show. And we keep on mining. It hasn't stopped. We keep on mining. And they come and we found oil. Everybody felt that oil coming to West Takoradi was going to be a better place for all of us. People started moving there. But you go there, you have nothing to show. And again, God has been good to us. He continues to grant unto us more of minerals. And today we have found.
So that's the voice of Reverend Dr. Christian Fayose speaking there of the Christian Council. Let's take a listen to what a member of the Council of State has also been saying. Samo Kujeto.
Why should he come and give us 10%? So the reason why all the countries of the Middle East are filthily rich is because the oil that they have belongs to them. Mobil, Total, all the companies that go there to go and explore for oil, they are contracted. They are paid. They don't own the oil. So if lithium is supposed now the mineral of the future, is that not correct? I think this is the way it's been described. Why? Because the well is going green. Oil, sooner or later, it could be in the soil, but you can't bring it out because it's not allowed. It's polluting the atmosphere, it's killing people, it's bringing undue rainfall, undue droughts, and so on and so forth.
The voice of Samuel Okujeto, who is a member of the Council of State in relation to the ongoing conversation about lithium mining in the country and Ghana's stake in the agreement with Barari DV there. Away from that to some other subjects, taking you to Parliament. There are heated exchanges in the floor of Parliament about portions of the Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Value Bill following submissions from the Attorney General and the Constitutional and Legal Committee of Parliament. The contention revolves around whether Clause 4 of the bill contravenes Article 39 of the Constitution and whether the word undermine in the bill is subjective and difficult to prove legally. The House has been working on the bill at the consideration stage in Parliament. Here are excerpts of the debate. First is Chairman of the Committee, Kwame Ayimedu Entry.
Directly or indirectly instigate, command, counsel, procure, solicit, or in any other manner purposely aid, facilitate, encourage, or promote, whether by a personal act or presence or otherwise, an act that undermines the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Again, the committee came to a conclusion that this is very difficult to prove. And Mr. Speaker, we made it clearer that even the pressed men that would be soliciting for views the proper Ghanaian family values bill, they would all be culpable under this law. And I would want to say that we should be very careful that I am not sure, Mr. Speaker, that when we finish with it, it is done. And in accordance with the procedure, we would have to send whatever we do in this House to the President for assent.
The voice of the chairman of the committee, Kwame Ayimedu Entry, there. We still have on the phone lines my parliamentary correspondent, Duke Opoku Mensah, who will join us with some updates on the House in relation to the controversy surrounding the anti-LGBTQ bill that is being considered in Parliament. Duke, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good afternoon to you. What is going on in the House? A lot of disagreement on the word quote undermine.
Yes, that is exactly what has been transpiring here for the past spent about an hour actually arguing on whether the word undermine is subjective and whether its use in that clause 4 of the bill, if passed, will become section 4, would contravene provisions of the Article 39 of the 1992 Constitution, and whether the word undermine, you can easily find ingredients to make that up to constitute what would be a criminal offense under the law. So there's been back and forth. This is something that the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee is proposing. It also has found favor in the argument of the Attorney General, who has also presented a very elaborate memorandum to Parliament in relation to certain clauses and portions of the bill, such as this Section 4. So there have been arguments and counter-arguments from the likes of Nelson Dafiamako and Haruna Iddrisu, who are arguing that if the word undermine cannot find favor in the eyes of many on the floor of the House, then there should be other words such as not promote. Maybe that could fit, and then it should be redrafted and put as part of it, because you cannot have a law that would not essentially touch on people who seek to not take part in the act, the LGBTQ act, but also those who seek to promote or those who seek to, propagate it, even though they are not taking part in it. So that has gone on for a while now, but the Speaker of Parliament, together with the sense of the House, is that this clause 4 has been stood down or it's been suspended for now. We are told that there are similar concerns with clause 12. So when they get to clause 12, they probably will find some common ground, an agreeable solution to how to incorporate these words to ensure that it does not contravene. You also look at Article 11 of our Constitution. We have the hierarchy of laws. At the very top is the Constitution of Ghana. Every law is subservient to that. So if you find a law that contravenes the Constitution of the land, that law becomes unconstitutional and could be struck down by the Supreme Court. And Parliament does not want to make a law that would later on be described as unconstitutional. So that's the agreeable solution Parliament has come to.
Thank you so much, Duke Mensah Opoku, with those updates from Parliament. So let's take a listen to what the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagban, has been saying on the matter.
Nobody is doubting the reasons that they have adduced for the request to delete the clause. What the other persons are doing is trying to save. If you can't define undermine, could we use other words that could be defined or that are clearer, or words that you can get ingredients of the offense? Now, our attention has been drawn to other provisions that are also meant to do the same thing. Is it possible for us to marry this provision with the other? It's not only one. I think there are 2 or 3 other provisions talking about prohibition. Is it possible? I think so. It's possible. It's a matter of arrangement of the bill. So we could proceed to accept that the submissions of the committee on the lack of not just clarity, but lack of ingredients of a new offense that is being created, the offense of prohibition against undermining. And Chairman, we have already amended the bill by the deletion of the word proper. So it's no longer part of the bill. You've been referring to proper human sexual rights. No, we amended that and it's now human sexual rights.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, speaking there. Away from that to some other subjects in the Ashanti region. The Fulani community, they're disturbed about discrimination. The Fulani community in Ghana, they are disturbed about discrimination and atrocities committed against the tribesmen in some parts of the country. The community observed that the Fulbe ethnic group has come under serious attacks in recent times, with many losing their lives and livelihood. Now, they want an end to this whilst pledging their support to the prosecution of criminal elements among them. Alhaji Yakubu Mensah Bari is General Secretary of the Fulani community in Ghana.
Existed in this country before even the colonial masters arrived in this land called to Ghana. So we should stop that. Let's face forward. If we use the negativity to be positive things to the Fulanis cattle railing, I think it will benefit. Today, I'll be hearing in the media that we are abandoning Yemadie. What is Yemadie? If we can establish very well, put good regulations about this cattle railing, I think they don't need even to even import a meat talk less of Yemadie. The Yemadie is with us. Why are we importing Yemadie? It's because we are neglecting a certain profession that it can help the nation, and that is what is happening today. So.
Let's get into the phone lines and speak with my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar with more updates on this after hearing from Alhaji Yakubu Mensah Bari, who's the General Secretary of the Fulani community in Ghana. Ibrahim, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon to you. Talk to us about what more they are asking for.
Well, Crosby, what they are saying is that just like any ethnic group, where when you come to the Fulbe ethnic group, they also have some criminal elements in them, which they admit. But then their concern is the tagging. So especially for them with the media, anytime there is an arrest of criminals, we'll just mention names of people. But if we have an individual who is a Fulani, then we have to tag the Fulani elements to the person's name. This, according to them, is what is causing the discrimination. For them, we have Fulanis who were in Ghana before independence, and the constitution of the country says that if you are in Ghana before independence or you have one of your parents who is a Ghanaian, automatically you qualify to be a Ghanaian. But here is a case where they are always being discriminated against anytime they even move to the passport office or Ghana card office to get their ID card. They are being told that they are not Ghanaians. When we have the wife of the vice president, who is a Ghanaian and also a Fulani descendant. So what they are saying is that if one of them commits an offense, the person should be singled out as an individual and be dealt with, and not be tagged for the Fulani community in general. If we remember, just in recent times, in the northern part of the country, 9 Fulani people were shot dead by people who claim that they are not Ghanaians and they are there to commit some level of atrocity.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti Regional Correspondent. Ending the midday news on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Please log on for more. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Business News is up next. Good afternoon.
Gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of Business Daily. Coming up this afternoon, inflation projected to decline sharply before year-end 2023 as Ghana's Statistical Service is set to release November Consumer Price Index on Wednesday, December 13, 2023. Also, calls for stricter corporate governance in Ghana's mineral resource management. We'll hear from Board Chair of Ghana Revenue Authority, who says the country is being shortchanged.
It is time for the state to insist on minimum competencies for all directors representing the state on boards and to hold them truly accountable.
Plus, new reports from Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply reveals persistent procurement fraud cases in organizations. We'll bring you the details. My name is Benua Fodu. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us. Straight to our first story. Inflation has been projected to decline significantly for the rest of 2023. The Ghana Statistical Service is expected to release November 2023 CPI tomorrow, Wednesday, December 13, 2023. This expected decline, GTB Capital attributes to the favorable base drift effect. The following three Business News Desk reports has more. According to GCB Capital, it expects the disinflation process to continue ahead of the release of the November 2023 Consumer Price Index by the Ghana Statistical Service on Wednesday, December 13, 2023. It said both headline and core inflation have declined sharply this far in 2023. However, headline inflation is still elevated, necessitating keeping a continuously tight monetary policy stance to anchor the disinflation process. GCB Capital says headline inflation could print near 26%, restoring positive real returns on T-bills and quickening the anticipated correction in nominal yields in 2024, all things being equal. The year-on-year inflation for the month of October 2023 fell to 35.2% from 38.1% recorded in September 2023. Data from the Ghana Statistical Service showed that the decrease in the general inflation rate was attributed to the marginal drop in food inflation. And that was a three Business News Desk report on an anticipated sharp decline in inflation before year-end 2023. Away from that, the board chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Dr. Tony Oting-Jesse, has described dividends from Ghana's mineral resources at compared to value of minerals being mined. He believes that the country has not benefited from the continuous depletion of its mineral resources. Delivering the 2023 alumni lecture on the topic, The Fault, Dear Brutus, Dr. Oting-Jesse, however, urged the state to insist on minimum financial and corporate governance competencies for all directors representing the country on boards of such companies and to hold them accountable.
Our laws mandate 10% free shareholding by the state in every mine. But some mines declare little or no profit. So dividends from the shareholding are a pittance compared with the value of minerals being mined. It is known and the published view of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative that, I quote, the 10% carried interest has yielded insignificant returns over the years, unquote. It is time for the state to insist on minimum competencies for all directors representing the state on boards and to hold them truly accountable. Financial and corporate governance skills should be minimum skills for sitting on any public sector board or any corporate board on behalf of the nation.
That was board chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Dr. Tony Oting-Jesse. On to more stories. A collaborative report by an auditing firm and the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply has unveiled a disconcerting reality within workplaces, with 89% of employees acknowledging the occurrence of procurement fraud in their respective organizations. The report also disclosed that 59% of employees believe the organizations lack anonymous channels to report suspected fraudulent activities. Michael Ogbodu has the rest of the story.
The study delved into various aspects of procurement practices, exposing concerning deficiencies. Nearly half of the respondents, 49%, revealed the absence of anti-fraud policies in the organizations, while 48% indicated that their companies do not conduct fraud risk assessments. Focusing on procurement processes, vendor management, fraud prevention, and reporting irregularities, the research aims to advance professionalism in procurement across Ghana. Expressing concern over the findings, partner and head of advisory at KPMG Ghana, Andy Akoto, highlighted the urgency of addressing these issues.
It should be concerning because at the end of the day, if it is not managed, then it basically constitutes waste, because then you are going to find inefficiencies being introduced and persons not deserving being awarded, these contracts to come and deliver services when indeed it could have gone to more deserving entities.
He further suggested potential solutions to revamp the country's procurement landscape.
Digitalizing, introducing technology, enhancing processes is the way to go. The other dynamic, obviously, is also to continue to introduce control reviews around the procurement process. Periodically, it becomes very important to check that the controls around the processes of procurement are functioning as expected. As they say, if it is not measured, then it will not be done. So it becomes very important from time to time also to check.
And that was Michael Ogbudu's report. Also, Head of Investor Relations and Partnerships at Cowbank, Jifa Amegashi, is calling for continuous assistance to companies in collecting data on the impact of their climate-friendly policies and practices. According to her, making this impact information available and accessible allows for businesses to benefit from green financing from banks. She was speaking at the Ghana Stock Exchange's Ring the Bell for Climate discussions.
If the company has transitioned towards ESG, for example, has taken itself off grid and has gone solar, we need to support the company to collect that information, the impact information, because it's also meaningful for us. But remember that some of these impacts are extremely beneficial to the clients themselves in terms of their ability to attract funding. Many financiers and investors are actually looking for not just sort of anecdotal evidence around, well, you're doing well and you're not using single-use plastics in your office. They want concrete evidence about what you're doing about your transition to net zero. So we support the clients with that. Sometimes it does involve consultants. We do have some technical assistance for some of these clients who are moving towards ESG to be able to support the collection of that information.
That was Head of Investor Relations and Partnerships at Cowbank, Jifa Amegashi, ending Business Daily with me. Thank you for your time. As always, for more business news, you can log on to 3news.com. Urban Blend continues with Black Rasta. Do stay tuned.